and border security?
Yes. I'm believe very strongly in my Christian faith. I preach on Sundays, and I believe very strongly in we welcome the stranger. Because anyway, the least of these we do to Jesus. And that is what we've been taught, and that is what the gospel tells us. And I think turning away people who have come here for asylum is one of the most shameful things we are doing right now.
Yep.
I just want to know, for you as a senator, as my elected senator, is there anything you can do so that we can follow international law better, or just the ideals of our country, to be a place of hope for others, where they can come when they are searching for a home because they have no place else to go.
Take down the Statue of Liberty.
Everything that we can do legally under our laws, we can. We welcome refugees. That's legal status.
Senator Grassley, we're not right
just a
now.
minute until it's quiet so I can hear you.
Oh, Senator Grassley, right now we're not. I mean, right now we're not. These changes have been taking place, and that's what concerns me so much.
There's no due process.
It hurts.
No due
Yeah.
Okay.
So with laws.
I would welcome refugees, and I would recommend.
For $1,200, and I just say no, does that stand up? Because he's got an order from the Supreme Court, and he's just said no. Yeah. He just said, screw it.
I'll be able to answer your question.
You ignored my letter.
Guatemala or El Salvador is an independent country. The president.
Speak up, please. We can't hear you.
The president of that country is not subject to our U.S. Supreme Court.
I'm pissed.
We're paying them to keep them down there. We don't have to pay them.
Why are we paying them for houses we don't have control?
The next subject here.
Excuse me, Senator. Senator, excuse me, on that same subject.
Hey.
Excuse me, Senator Grassley, on that same subject. The Constitution, the framers of the Constitution said that every person, not citizen, every person within the jurisdiction of the United States has due process. That has been violated. And we would like to know what you, as the people, the Congress, who are supposed to rein in this dictator, what are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything. Why won't you do your job, Senator?
It's fine. Obeying the Supreme Court. Trump's not obeying the Supreme Court. He just ignores them. Yeah, screw it.
He's doing whatever he wants. I'd be okay with that. Rolling around, allowing it to happen.
Let the Senator answer.
What is a constitutional crisis? What does that consist of? A constitutional crisis exists when you have a president who ignores the Supreme Court. You have a Congress who fails to rein in a third branch of our government.
That's right.
Who is now violating our Constitution. You took an oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm. Do you remember that, sir? Yes, sir. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of office of which I am about to enter, so help me God. Sir, will you act upon your oath?
Yeah, I thought that I was, when I answered, I'll wait till the clapping's done. I thought when I answered this guy's question, I was doing what the Constitution requires. I'm trying to recapture the constitutional authority of Article 1, Section 8, one of the 18 powers of Congress, to regulate interstate and foreign commerce by introducing the bill, which is a bipartisan bill,
Yes.
to make some of the mistakes that Democratic Congresses made in 1963. That's
Congress as a whole.
That's what I'm doing.
Congress as a whole,
Yeah.
bipartisan, has the power to act, to bring
Can you wait till they be quiet?
Congress as a whole, bipartisan, has the power to act to bring the executive branch to heel.
Yes.
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 Now,
And they're not doing it.
introducing a bill, yes, that's one thing. But as a whole, the power of Congress to bring that executive branch to heel when they are behaving the way we're seeing, that power exists within you and your other members of Congress. Do you speak to your other persons in the House of Representatives of your party? Do you communicate with them often? Do you discuss any of this with them? Do you hold any concern that Congress will be the next branch that Trump comes for because he is coming for the judicial?
The only tool that you know the Constitution gives Congress to do in regard to disciplining the executive branch is impeachment.
And you missed that opportunity in his first administration. You had 2 opportunities for that. That was probably one of the only reasons we're having this situation now.
What he's done with this stock market is not an impeachable offense.
He ignores the next election.
The House initiates impeachment.
Yeah. Would you remember what I started with? I said that the way I conducted the meeting in Hampton, I was chastised before because I didn't allow anything.
Shit just got real. This is Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, who went to El Salvador to see about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He went to talk to the president and vice president of El Salvador to see if they can release Abrego Garcia today and or just to see if he's alive. Then he went in front of the cameras to talk to the press, and this is what the fuck happened.
And our Attorney General Bondi and the Vice President of the United States are lying when they say that Abrego Garcia has been charged with a crime or is part of MS-13. That is a lie. And this is a lie to cover up what they did. They illegally abducted Mr. Abrego Garcia from Maryland and sent him to Sica, which is a notorious prison here in El Salvador. In fact, it's a prison where they say they send the worst of the worst, right? That's where they send the terrorists. Now, the courts of the United States have said there's no evidence to support the charge that he's part of MS-13. So I asked the Vice President whether or not El Salvador has any evidence that he's part of MS-13.
Do they?
And the government of El Salvador has no evidence that he was part of MS-13. Why is El Salvador continuing to hold him in Sica? And his answer was that the Trump administration is paying El Salvador, the government of El Salvador, to keep him in Sica.
Which again, the US is paying $6 million of taxpayer dollars for this prison, but it doesn't stop there.
And I pointed out that neither the government of El Salvador nor the Trump administration has presented evidence to support the claim that he's committed any kind of criminal act. And so why not release Abrego Garcia today?
Yeah.
And he said what President Bukele said the other day at the White House, that El Salvador can't smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. And I said, I'm not asking him to smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. I'm simply asking him to open the door of CICOT and let this innocent man walk out.
Come on.
And I pointed out that the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, has said that the United States would send a plane to El Salvador.
Because why?
And why did she do that? Because
Right.
the Supreme Court of the United States, in a ruling of 9-0, has said that the Trump administration has to facilitate his return to the United States.
Here's where the shit gets worse.
So I asked the Vice President if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CICOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CICOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia.
Come on.
He said he was not able to make that happen. He said he needed a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either a video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone. So we have an unjust situation.
So you're telling me the president and vice president of El Salvador don't have the power to arrange a sit down between a senator and Abrego Garcia? Can't even get him on the phone? Hey, let me tell you something. I fear the worst has happened to Abrego Garcia. I fear that this man is no longer with us. I hope that I'm fucking wrong, but something ain't fucking right.
Is the president going to ask for him to be returned to the United States or not? Like, yes or no?
Let me ask you, what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking
it's important to know.
about whether
You're asking,
or not
you're asking a lot of questions.
The president,
you're asking.
plans
You
to
are
ask
all
about
asking a lot of questions about this, and you also care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that? He would be arrested. Okay. He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again, because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you define a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws, he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying?
If he ever ends up back in the United States, he would immediately be deported again. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again.
Hey guys, so what do you guys think about this whole thing? About them picking up this guy in Maryland, calling him a Maryland father. He's not even a U.S. citizen. I mean, now that I know more information, I did not know that there was all these things in court that he needed to leave the country. So, and then there's things in court saying he needs to come back. So it's very hypocritical. Anyways, yeah. Hit the subscribe button below, and hopefully we get some more information on this. But it looks like he's going to be sitting in prison for a very long time. Thank you guys for watching.